Apple has a lot of exciting products in the pipeline for 2025. But one device that hasn't gotten as much attention as it deserves is the Apple TV. Yes, the little black box under your screen. It's quiet, it's stable, but it's been sitting still for far too long. The current Apple TV 4K model has been around for about 3 years now, running on the A15 chip. That's the same chip that launched alongside the iPhone 13. Since then, Apple has moved on to the A16, the A17 Pro, and even newer silicon for its iPads and Macs. The Apple TV? Still stuck in 2021, but now everything's about to change. In 2025, Apple is almost certain to unveil a brand new Apple TV, and it's not just a spec bump. From what we know so far, this update looks to be the most significant overhaul the Apple TV has received in years. This isn't just about making streaming smoother. Apple is setting the stage for something bigger. Let's begin with the chip, the heart of any Apple device. Right now, as mentioned, the Apple TV uses the A15 Bionic. A solid chip, no doubt, but in tech terms, it's ancient. When it was introduced, it was cutting edge. But 3 years later, it's starting to show its age, especially as streaming services become more demanding and users expect faster, more responsive interfaces. And gaming? Forget it! The A15 can only do so much when it comes to high-performance games. Now, here's the big upgrade. Apple is expected to replace the A15 with the A17 Pro. Not just the A17, but the Pro version. That's a major leap in power, performance, and efficiency. The A17 Pro has already proven itself in flagship iPhones and iPads, and it's a game changer in every way. It's built using a more advanced manufacturing process, which means it's faster, cooler, and uses less power. That translates into a snappier, more responsive Apple TV experience and opens the door for new features Apple simply couldn't offer before. But there's more to it than just raw power. With this chip, Apple TV could finally make a serious play in the gaming space. That's right. The same chip used in high-end mobile devices will now sit inside a set-top box. What does that mean for you? Think smoother graphics, higher frame rates, better textures, and far more immersive gameplay, all from the comfort of your living room. Apple hasn't made gaming a priority on the Apple TV in the past, but that may be changing. And here's why. At WWDC 2025, Apple didn't just talk about iPhones and Macs. They introduced Metal 4, the next evolution of Apple's graphics API. One of the big focuses of Metal 4 is making it easier for developers to port games across platforms, from Mac to iPad to iPhone, and yes, to Apple TV. That means game developers can now target all Apple devices with a single, unified code base. This creates a strong incentive for developers to bring real, full-featured games to Apple TV. Apple wants the Apple TV to be more than just a streaming box. They want it to be an entertainment hub, something that can handle movies, music, games, and more. And with the A17 Pro and Metal 4, that vision is finally possible. But power is only one part of the equation. Apple is also changing how the Apple TV looks and feels. If you own the current model, you'll know it's made out of plastic. Functional but uninspiring. In 2025, that could change. Leaks and renders suggest that Apple might move to a new metallic design, possibly aluminum or even stainless steel. A design shift that brings the Apple TV in line with the premium feel of other Apple products like the MacBook or iPad. This makes sense. Apple's design language has evolved. They don't want plastic gadgets sitting under your TV anymore. They want something that looks clean, modern, and consistent with the rest of your Apple ecosystem. A metallic Apple TV would not only look better, it would also offer better heat dissipation. And that's important because if Apple is putting an A17 Pro inside, they need to manage heat. The chip is powerful, and when running games or high-res video, it can get warm. There's even talk that Apple could include a tiny internal fan in the new Apple TV, the first of its kind. Not loud, not big, just enough to keep things cool and silent. Apple has already done this with the Mac Mini and the M series chips. Now it's time for the Apple TV to get the same treatment. Beyond the internals and materials, we're also expecting updates in connectivity. Right now, the Apple TV supports decent Wi-Fi speeds and Bluetooth. But in 2025, it could get Wi-Fi 6E. This newer standard allows for faster speeds, lower latency, and less interference. Ideal for streaming 4K or even 8K content. Perfect for gaming too, especially if you're using wireless controllers. And speaking of wireless, Bluetooth could be upgraded as well, possibly to Bluetooth 5.3 or newer. That means better audio quality, more stable connections to accessories, and lower latency for things like game controllers or AirPods. The HDMI port may also see a slight bump, possibly supporting higher bandwidth, variable refresh rate, or even enhanced eARC for better audio routing through sound systems. In short, everything about the Apple TV in 2025 feels like it's leveling up. Faster, smarter, more capable. The kind of device that feels future-ready, not just good enough for today. And that brings us to tvOS 26, the software side of this upgrade. At WWDC, Apple showed off a new visual effect called Liquid Glass. It's a beautiful, modern UI that flows across the screen with subtle, translucent effects. It gives the interface a much more premium and immersive feel, while still staying simple and fast. This will likely be the default UI on the new Apple TV, and when paired with the A17 Pro, it will feel buttery smooth. tvOS 26 is also expected to come with smarter personalization, faster app switching, and improved multitasking. Apple wants your TV experience to feel more like a modern iPhone, where everything is instant, responsive, and intelligent. And if we look at Apple's broader strategy, the ecosystem, it all ties together. With AirPods, you get instant spatial audio syncing. With your iPhone, you can control the Apple TV with ease. With your iCloud account, all your media and games are synced. Everything works together. The new Apple TV will only make that connection stronger.